Friday Night SmackDown has always been home to shocking twists and turns. But the latest backstage confrontation between Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman, Bronson Reed, and Braun Breaker, with Nick Aldis stepping in, may go down as one of the most important moments of the year. What started as a seemingly routine night quickly turned into a series of cryptic encounters that left fans buzzing with questions. From Lesnar's cold demand to Heyman to Aldis's attempt at keeping order, this segment felt less like television and more like a chess game being played out in real time, with each move carrying the potential to ignite absolute chaos. With a purpose. When Brock Lesnar walks, you can tell if he's just passing by or if he has a mission. This time, it was the latter. The cameras caught the beast incarnate moving backstage with that unmistakable energy of a man with business on his mind. His pace was steady, his body language was tight, and his eyes told the story. He wasn't there to make small talk. The way he carried himself instantly set the tone. Something important was about to unfold, and everyone in the building could feel the tension rising. The unexpected encounter. As Brock rounded the corner, standing in his path was none other than Paul Heyman, flanked by Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. For fans who know the long, complicated history between Lesnar and Heyman, this sight was enough to spark intrigue. Heyman, once Lesnar's greatest advocate, now stood in conversation with two of the most intimidating forces of the modern WWE roster. It was a visual that screamed power shift. For a brief moment, time seemed to freeze as these figures shared the same frame. Lesnar's four words that shook Heyman. There are times when Brock doesn't need to throw a single punch to create drama. All he did was look Heyman dead in the eye and say four words. We need to talk. The delivery was sharp, commanding, and carried more weight than any physical blow. For years, Heyman had been Brock's mouthpiece, his strategist, the man behind the beast. But now, those roles seemed blurred. The ambiguity of Lesnar's demand, was it a warning, a proposal, or something else entirely, was the perfect hook to leave fans guessing. Paul Heyman's calculated calm. Paul Heyman has built a career on being the smartest man in any room. His immediate reaction wasn't panic, but composure. He didn't argue. He didn't posture. Instead, he let Brock walk away without confrontation, silently absorbing the moment. Then, like a master poker player, Heyman shifted gears. With Nick Aldis approaching, Heyman slipped back into his familiar role of manipulator, trying to steer the narrative into his favor. It was classic Heyman, unshaken on the surface, but almost certainly scheming underneath. Enter Nick Aldis, the voice of authority. Nick Aldis, the SmackDown general manager, arrived at the perfect time. His presence brought a sharp contrast to the tension. Calm, suited, and direct, Aldis didn't waste words. Today is not the day, he told Heyman firmly. His message was simple. There was a contract signing on the card, and he wanted it done without chaos. The way Aldis handled the situation showed leadership. He wasn't intimidated by Lesnar's looming presence or Heyman's silver tongue. He was there to keep the ship steady, even if it meant standing between powder kegs waiting to explode. Aldis cuts through the smokescreen. Nick Aldis didn't buy into Heyman's narrative. He quickly reminded him that the Usos weren't even in the building. They were in Indianapolis. The smirk that crossed Heyman's face after being called out said everything. This wasn't about peace or diplomacy. This was about creating confusion, buying time, and perhaps planting seeds for something bigger. Aldis's refusal to fall into Heyman's word games only heightened the sense that larger plans are in motion behind the scenes. Compliments. With an agenda. When Heyman pivoted again and began complimenting Aldis on his leadership and even his suit, it wasn't genuine flattery. This was classic Paul Heyman, using charm and praise as tools to soften authority figures. Heyman has always thrived on manipulation, whether with wrestlers, referees, or executives. His compliments to Aldis were less about respect and more about setting the stage for influence. For longtime fans, it was a reminder: never take Heyman's words at face value. Brock's cryptic exit, the fact that Brock left after saying, "We need to talk," without elaborating, is perhaps the most compelling part of this encounter. It suggests unfinished business, secret negotiations, or looming conflicts. Lesnar is not a man of wasted words. If he says something, it means he has a plan. The mystery surrounding what he wants from Heyman, reunion, revenge, or manipulation, will keep fans guessing until the next chapter unfolds. Reed and Breaker in the crosshairs. While most of the focus was on Brock and Heyman, it's impossible to ignore Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker standing in the background. Both men represent the new breed of powerhouse WWE is pushing, and their presence wasn't accidental. Aligning them visually with Heyman could be the start of something huge. Are they being groomed as the next big project under Heyman's influence? Or were they simply pawns in a larger scheme? Their silence in the segment made their role even more mysterious. The calm before the storm. Aldis's reminder that this wasn't the day for drama might have kept things from exploding in the moment, but it also created an eerie sense of waiting. When big names like Lesnar, Heyman, Reed, and Breaker are in the same space, calm is only temporary. WWE thrives on escalation, and this felt less like resolution and more like the calm before an inevitable storm. Fans are left bracing themselves for what comes next. The mystery of Brock's intentions. Speculation now runs wild among fans. What did Brock want to talk about with Heyman? Was he proposing a reunion of their legendary partnership? Was he warning Heyman to stay out of his path, or was he planting seeds for a larger plot against someone else entirely? The beauty of this ambiguity is that it keeps fans engaged, debating, and invested in the storyline. Brock's intentions are the million-dollar question, and WWE knows it. Heyman's dual loyalties. One of the most fascinating parts of Heyman's character is his divided loyalty. For years, he was synonymous with Brock Lesnar, but his current allegiance is tied to the bloodline. With Roman Reigns absent and the Usos out of the arena, Heyman's alignment is shakier than ever. Is he hedging his bets by keeping the door open with Brock? Or is he simply playing both sides until he knows which one offers him the most power? Heyman's ambiguity is the kind of layered storytelling fans thrive on. Aldis as the balancing force. Nick Aldis's role in this encounter deserves praise. WWE authority figures often get overshadowed, but Aldis came across as composed, commanding, and effective. His insistence on order and his ability to cut through Heyman's games added credibility to his leadership. If chaos is coming, Aldis looks like the man tasked with holding it all together, no matter how heavy the storm. The bigger picture for SmackDown. This segment wasn't just about one confrontation. It was about setting the tone for what's to come. Brock's cryptic message, Heyman's manipulation, Aldis's authority, and the looming presence of Reed and Breaker all signal a SmackDown landscape that's about to shift dramatically. Fans aren't just waiting for matches, they're waiting for answers, and the unpredictability is what makes this storyline so compelling. Fan reaction and social media. Buzz within minutes of the segment airing, social media lit up with speculation. Some fans believe Brock is looking to reunite with Heyman. Others think it's a setup for a massive faction war. Memes, theories, and polls spread across Twitter, Reddit, and YouTube, proving once again that when WWE hits the right storytelling notes, the fan base responds instantly and passionately. Why this storyline matters. Moments like this are why fans stay glued to WWE week after week. It wasn't about physical brawls or shocking betrayals, at least not yet. It was about subtle tension, layered storytelling, and the promise of bigger payoffs down the road. Brock's 4 words, Heyman's smirk, Aldis's authority, and the looming question of Reed and Breaker's involvement created a segment that will be dissected for weeks to come. Conclusion: the fuse has been lit. As SmackDown moved forward, the energy backstage lingered. Everyone knows this isn't over. Brock Lesnar doesn't leave things unresolved, Paul Heyman doesn't play fair, and Nick Aldis can only hold back chaos for so long. Whether this leads to alliances, betrayals, or full-scale war, one thing is certain: the fuse has been lit, and the explosion is coming. For fans, this is the kind of suspense that makes WWE unmissable.